All right, we are back. Episode 45. Today we're talking one of my favorite subjects. That is football and the NFL. And we have a special guest here today, a man who also has a YouTube channel. If you guys are into sports cards and everything alike, trading cards, etc., I'm sure you're already following this man, but I'm going to bring him in. Say hello to Dustin over at the Sports Card Dad YouTube channel. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Lawrence. Good to see you, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Football season's right around the corner. It's going to start cooling down a little bit. It's a good time of year.
I agree. That's kind of what I'm more excited about. Is just it's been so muggy and disgusting lately here. It's I can't wait for that cool weather. You said it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. And I mean, you're a Jets fan, so I feel like it's just, expectations are Super Bowl or bust like usual, right?
Yeah. You know what? For we'll get into the Jets, and every year is a struggle. I'm not going to lie to you. There were some really good times that we had back in the, the late 2010s, 2011s, around that time frame, but it's been a big struggle ever since then. But I want to talk about even that, like even that's even before Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez and the run that they had. But yeah, under Herman Edwards, even with Chad, it always seems like something bad happens to the Jets. Chad Pennington get hurt. Testaverde, of course, tearing his Achilles. It's just every year something bad happens. I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop. But I want to talk about you a little bit today. I know that you are a New Orleans Saints fan. I know you told me the story already, but how did you become a Saints fan again? Because I don't really remember.
Yeah, I won't annoy the audience with like the typical I'm a New England Patriots fan or some bullshit, like, no, I'm a tried and true, a team that's not been good for a long time. So Lawrence and I have that in common. The Saints have had some good years, but definitely a lot of struggle years. So when I was a kid, I was born in Germany. My dad was in the Air Force, and then we moved from Germany to England. And then when I was 7, we moved to Panama City, Florida. He was stationed at Tyndall Air Force Base. And it's right there in the Panhandle, close to Pensacola down there. And that's kind of close-ish to Mississippi, Louisiana. And so regionally, of course, you know this, you're about my age. We didn't have Sunday Ticket back when I was a kid. And even if it exists, my dad wasn't buying that. We didn't have any money. So we were just watching whatever was on CBS or, like the 3 stations. And fortunately, we were able to catch Saints games. But my dad became a Saints fan. Going back to 1967 was their inaugural year, and their first kickoff ever, they took it to the house. And he was 12 years old, and he was like, yes, I'm going to be a Saints fan. He was also born. His dad was a pilot in the Air Force. He was actually born in Mississippi. My dad was too. So all of it kind of add all the things up, and we're Saints fans. And they took that kickoff to the house, and then they had 20 straight losing season years, all the way up to about 1987 when we moved back, me moving to the U.S., him moving back to the U.S., and then we had Bobby Hebert and the Dome Patrol, 87 and 92. Those were some good years for the Saints. And then, we've had, and it's just been bumpy up and down, Jim Haslett. And then we finally, in 2006, we had Mike Ditka, get trade our entire draft for Ricky Williams. I think it was like Sports Illustrated where he and Ricky Williams are on the cover, and they're like, Ricky's wearing a wedding dress or something, they did this whole bit. So, we've had some crazy downs with some ups, but of course, 2006, with Breeze and Sean Payton, that we had 15, solid years. So I can't really complain with the Super Bowl. So all good. But now it's been almost 20 years. It's been like 17 years since that Super Bowl victory already. And so, I'm itching for number 2. I'm itching for it.
Listen, I'll take one. The Jets have won in 1968 before I was born. So for me, we've been close a couple times to getting to the Super Bowl, but we haven't gotten there yet. But I will say that Saints team with Sean Payton, he's one of my favorite coaches out there, and I'm a big football guy. Not only playing it, coaching it for youths, and of course being involved in the NFL for a really long time, being a huge fan. So I'm an X's and O's type of guy. So I love Sean Payton and what he brings to teams, not only from a coaching aspect, but also the X and O's aspect of being an offensive coordinator for the Giants, for the Cowboys, how great he was. So I've always followed the Saints, believe it or not. You talk about Bobby Hebert, we talk about Aaron Brooks and Jim Haslett, and then, of course, Sean Payton, Drew Brees. So you definitely have had a bumpy ride, but I got to say, the juice was worth the squeeze, right? The wait was worth it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, 2009, my brother flew in, I flew in, we were down in Tampa where my dad lives, and we watched that game. We were crying at the end, we were just in complete and utter shock. that they pulled it off. Because, you know, we also had to face off against Peyton Manning and the Colts. Yep. It's like, we're not going to beat them, man. There's no way we're going to beat them. And then we just like, of course, in a football game, you know how it goes. I mean, the ball bounces your way a couple times, and you know it can go either way, and it did. Wow, yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
That's how I felt this year with the New York Knicks. I've been a New York Knicks fan my entire life, and finally seeing them win it, I was in tears at the end. My youngest son, who's 14 years old, he doesn't know the anguish that I've had, but I'm happy for him that he gets to see that at a young age where he really, you know, is into basketball and he got to see it. But let's move on. I want to talk about the NFL. I want to talk about the upcoming season. And I want to start things off about talking about this season itself. What do you think are some of the biggest stories headlining this year? For me, I'm going to throw 3 at you, and you can comment on them and give me your own. One is Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he was a Jet for 2 years.
You know what's funny? That's exactly what popped into my head when you said that. Because, and I haven't gotten the questions beforehand, too, for people that are watching this, so I have no idea what's coming. But Aaron Rodgers was like the first thing that popped into my head. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, probably going to be his last year in the NFL. An all-time great quarterback, probably top 5 overall. One of my favorite players just to watch play the quarterback position. Josh Allen and the Bills. They've kind of revamped their team a little bit. New head coach, Joe Brady. New receiver in DJ Moore. Do they finally get off the schneid and get to the Super Bowl? And lastly, the thing that jumps out at me the most off-season stuff was that Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini story about the whole thing that happened. I can't stand the Patriots and where they were last year getting to the Super Bowl and losing. I'll talk more about them. But those are the 3 headlines that kind of popped into my mind when I was thinking about putting together this podcast.
Yeah, one that you didn't mention that I was thinking about as you were talking is Mahomes and the Chiefs. Because Mahomes, you know, they've been so dominant in the AFC, and then they lost to the Chiefs or the Eagles in that Super Bowl. And last year they just didn't look quite right. And then Mahomes goes down with the ACL. This is kind of the first time that we've seen the Chiefs really face serious adversity as a team since he started, like going back 7 years or whatever. And so I'm really curious to see if they bounce back. They took the corner out of LSU with their, like, I think they traded up for him, if I remember correctly. We were actually there on site at the draft, me and my youngest son. But they took that great LSU corner, and they kind of beefed up the defense, if I remember correctly. So it's just the Chiefs are interesting. You know, I don't know if it was like on Twitter, I never know what's real or not. But Joe Burrow, it looked like he came up like with like some sort of injury, like lower leg injury. I'm like, my God, this guy. Joe Burrow is another guy. Like you have the Josh Allen, the Joe Burrow, and the Patrick Mahomes trifecta in the AFC of like, what are these guys going to do? And then you've got, you know, Fernando Mendoza out there in Vegas. I think Vegas is sneaky good. We have to play them in our home opener in New Orleans. I'm going to be there for that game. And I'm worried that I'm flying in to watch like a kind of an underrated Raiders team, you know, really take it to us. They've got a lot of star power on that team. So, yeah, I mean, we could go a lot of directions. And then Rodgers, as you mentioned, is kind of a paradox.
It's funny you said that about the Raiders. I don't even know if Mendoza is going to start, or because they brought in Kirk Cousins. Right. I kind of figure he's going to start for them, and then maybe they'll bring Mendoza in when the time is right.
Yes, I hope it's Cousins, just because we have a lot of film on Cousins. We've seen him a lot. He's actually beaten us a couple times in the Superdome. I was there for a Vikings playoff game where they beat us. It was heartbreaking. He's good, but we've seen him a lot before. So I would rather face Cousins in that first week. Because with the rookie quarterback, you don't really know what you're getting. You know, that's kind of a little bit of what we have with Tyler Shuck, that element of surprise right now, where we've shown some things with him, but teams haven't really seen kind of the full playbook. He played half the season last year. So, you know, we'll have to see how it goes.
On a side note, I actually love Kellen Moore. I want to talk about a bright offensive mind. I always thought he was going to be a good head coach. He kind of showed spurts last year of what that team is going to be along with that young quarterback. We'll get into that later, but you mentioned the Chiefs before. You know, where are you on the Chiefs right now? Obviously, Mahomes is coming off that ACL injury. They added to that defense. They also got that running back from Seattle. I forget his name, but he's a bruiser as well, coming off a Super Bowl winning team. Do you think that the Chiefs are still the team to beat? Is it the Seahawks because they're coming off a Super Bowl win? What are your thoughts on that?
I was really surprised. Maybe I'm a complete idiot, and but like I was really surprised that the Seahawks let the running back, I'm drawing a blank on his name, out of the building.
Yeah, me too.
Because when I'm watching the Super Bowl, I'm thinking like, this is the guy that's changed. This is the guy that's making this entire game. Like, you take this guy off the field. I mean, like, of course, maybe Darnold slings it around more or whatever, but I mean, like, the one staple on the offense that was just cooking was the running back. What was his name again? The guy that went to the Chiefs.
I don't remember. I'm going to look it up, but I know they had a good backup that also got a good amount of carries last year as well.
And it could be a function of the line is really good and they just kind of plug and play with their running backs. It could very well be.
Yeah.
So I do think the Seahawks are going to be strong. That division is brutal, though. The Rams, they got Myles Garrett. I would be really surprised if the Rams don't win the division, even with the Seahawks, the 49ers. Unfortunately, the Cardinals have to play in that division for Cardinals fans. I just don't see how. I just feel like McVay's too good of a coach. As long as Stafford stays healthy, I guess that's kind of the thing. He's aging a little bit. I think he's coming up on 40. They got Myles Garrett, though. I mean, like, if they can stay somewhat healthy, I think the Rams win that division. I do. And then the Chiefs, I do expect the Chiefs to bounce back. I do.
Do you think they're still the favorites in the AFC? Is it the Bills now, or is it somebody else?
I don't think it's the Patriots. The Patriots, they went through last year. I know they went to the Super Bowl, and they've got their defense. They've got a really good young defense. They've got that corner Gonzalez that was really good in the Super Bowl. I think Vrabel coaches a really good defense, and not that Drake May is bad. I think Drake May is also very good. They added what's his face from the Eagles, the wideout that's kind of
AJ
like
Brown.
A little bit of a hothead. But I think the Patriots will be good. And I hate to say this, Lawrence, but part of it is that division is not exactly stacked. So I think the Patriots will be, I think they'll be there in the playoffs. But I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to make a run. I think Mahomes is going to take it personally. I think he's going to come back, and they're going to be in the mix for sure.
I think the Chiefs are going to bounce back as well. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. That's just my hot take. We'll get into Super Bowl picks and towards the end of the podcast today. But again, the guy's name, the running back, was Kenneth Walker III. That's who has joined the Chiefs, and that was a good pickup for them. They usually rely on guys that kind of can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's more of a downhill runner, hit inside zone, stuff like that. Runs really hard. So I was a little shocked when they went after him, but because it kind of doesn't really fit what I like to do offensively. But I still think the Chiefs are the best team in that division. And that is the most stacked division in football between the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders. I mean, there could be three teams coming out of the division in the playoffs this year. We'll see how that unfolds with the AFC East, if we're going to get two, if we're going to get one. But to me, some of the best quarterback play has been in the division as well.
And one thing to add to that, too, is will Bo Nix take that next step? Because we always talk about kind of Burrow and Josh Allen and Mahomes and these guys, but Bo Nix has shown flashes, and the team is very good. The team overall is very good. So it's like if Bo Nix can just kind of elevate to that next level, then the Broncos could be very dangerous.
I really like the Broncos, and only because I know when Sean Payton drafts a quarterback and when he takes over a team, I know exactly what he's looking for. I know the type of leader he wants. And for all those picks to go before Bo Nix was drafted, and then you see Sean Payton snatch him up when all those guys are going before him, he could have traded up. He waited for his guy, and he got him. And that says a lot about Bo Nix as a player, but just knowing Sean Payton. But let me ask you a question about the AFC. Who do you think is a team in the AFC that is kind of being overlooked right now?
A team in the AFC outside of the Jets. I won't name your name or your team. Outside of the Jets, which that'd be hilarious if the Jets just go on a rampage, and I'm just totally disrespecting them. I'm going to go back to the Raiders, and I know that sounds crazy, again, given their division. Raiders/Chargers. They're in the same division, but the Chargers are another one. I don't know. Harbaugh coaches that team, and Harbaugh coach teams. It's kind of like the Giants, too. I think the Giants are going to be – I don't think they're going to be bad simply because it's a Harbaugh coaching them. And Harbaugh's a good coach out there in Los Angeles. I think if, Herbert is another guy that's kind of lost in these conversations because there's so many good AFC quarterbacks. But really, if I look at, I believe it was the wild card playoff game, I think both of his tackles were out. We're talking about Herbert. And he just had no time to throw the ball. But if Herbert is able to throw, if he has time to throw, he's again, like really dangerous quarterback. And I think that's a well-coached team. And so Chargers, Raiders, I think are just a couple of teams that, like a team that I think won't progress is like Jacksonville for example. I think Jacksonville, like we took their running back, HN, which I've always said ETN, but he's when he got to New Orleans, he's like, actually it's HN. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm thinking of the guy in Miami, like the running back in Miami. But anyway,
yeah.
It's HN, just so you know, I'm not talking about the wrong guy. I don't think that the Jags are taking a step forward. I don't know. I just think between the Chargers and the Raiders, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two teams just kind of shocks everybody and is actually pretty good.
So I'm going to do the thing here, and you're probably going to think I'm a homer, but I think everybody is underrating the New York Jets. I think they're going to have one of the best offensive lines in football. I think defensively, there's going to be the question mark. There's a lot of weapons on the offensive side. It's really all about the quarterback and the defense. So I'm going to say the Jets are going to go 500 this year. I know they can't go 500, but either 9-8 or 8-9, which would be a big boost from last year. So to me, I think that's a team that's a little bit underrated. So now let's go the opposite. Who's the most overrated team right now in the AFC?
Patriots, hands down.
I'm with you. Yeah. I had the exact same answer.
I mean, we played them. If you look at their schedule last year, it was really, really nice. Just kind of how it was. I mean, I was actually at the game. I went to the Patriots game against Drake May, and he was good. I mean, but we were in it, and Spencer Rattler was quarterbacking our team. You know, I mean, like we were in that game. You know, all the way until the end. We had a couple things that didn't go our way, and we lost. But I mean, it's just I just don't think the Patriots. And I'm also really wondering too if the thing with Vrabel, if it carries into the season. I just don't think that he's going to just overcome it like it's nothing. I think it's going to come back up, whether it's in social media, the Princess Diana saga.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to come back up. I think people are going to troll him. I think other teams like the Jets are going to troll the hell out of him when he comes to town. Like, I just don't think it's just going to be like business as usual. I know he'll want it to be like that, but I just think it's going to affect them this year. Plus, any team that goes to the Super Bowl I think if you look at stats on a team that loses the Super Bowl, that next year, you know, like they usually don't go back and they usually regress. Like if you look at stats on it. So yeah,
I agree.
I think it's the Pats.
I say the same thing. I think it's the New England Patriots. If you look at the schedule last year, it was a really soft schedule. And when you play in the NFL, they say, you know, you play who you play and then, you know, everything kind of works itself out. But they did have a really soft schedule last year. That the AFC Championship game, Bo Nix was hurt. So to me, they were they were never really challenged last year. So this year we have that Rossini situation hanging over their heads. They do have AJ Brown, who's a big weapon for them, but he is a guy who's getting older. Yeah. They are still a good football team, and I love Mike Vrabel. He's a really good coach. I just think they're definitely overrated, and I do think they're taking a step back this year. But let's flip it around. Let's talk about the NFC now. We said before, who's a team that is kind of going under the radar right now in the NFC?
Well, that's easy. I mean, you picked your team, and honestly, I actually believe it is my team too. And there's a few different reasons. I mean, NFC South is not the toughest division at all. You know, you look, we got the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Panthers. It's always like an 8-9 team wins the division. Like for the last 5 years, we don't even need a winning record to win our division. And you look at those three teams, the Bucks have, you know, they lost Mike Evans to the 49ers. I don't think they've gotten better. Baker Mayfield struggled last year with some injuries. You know, he's great, very good quarterback. He's great when he's good, but when he's not, you know, then he's not. And there was some consistency issues last year, especially the second half of the season. They had injuries. The Saints are just completely overlooked because we went 1-8, and then we kind of finished out and we were a 6-win team, but we beat some good. We beat our division. We beat the Bucks. We beat the Panthers twice. You know, which I know these aren't like amazing teams or anything, but Tyler Shuck showed enough, and I've watched enough football to see something in a quarterback. The off-schedule throws is really the stuff that gets me excited. It's a guy that, like, field vision is a big one. Like, oh, he sees the guy that's way downfield, or he sees the guy, or he, you know, eludes the sack, gets away, kind of like Josh Allen type stuff. I'm not saying he's Josh Allen, but you know, there's little kind of flashes of that. Now, can he repeat that? We have more weapons this year. He was also throwing like Ronnie Bell caught like a touchdown pass at the end of the year. Chris Olave was out the last couple of games. You know, now we have, you know, Jordan Tyson is hurt with a hamstring. He's had glass hamstrings basically. So that's a concern. But when he's on, like his training camp tape is really scary. Like the guy is going to be good. But we also have some guys that we picked up, like Barry Brown was a 7th-round receiver out of LSU, like kick returner guy. He's like been a camp standout. We got drawing a blank on his name, but the tight end out of Ohio State, that they didn't really use him that much for pass catching. Great blocking tight end though, excellent. We got HN from the Jags, good running back. We re-signed Kamara. He's old, but he's basically like our second, third string running back, so that's great. And then we've added, and then we have Vele as a receiver. We have probably 4 good receivers on the team, with Olave, with everybody. And so we actually do have weapons. We brought in Edwards, which again, is kind of like one of these signings is like, what? It was one of the Bills' good guards. And we really struggled. Like interior line was bad last year. And so we added Edwards. So I think offensively, we are in really good shape. Now, defensively, we lost Mario Davis back to your Jets. We got him from the Jets, and now he's back with you. He's awesome. But he's also like 37 or 38. I'm sure he'll still have 100 tackles and do his thing. But I'm also not surprised that we kind of let him go and we're like, hey, we got to figure it out, get younger at the position. I would have liked to have him one more year, but it is what it is. We did bring in we lost a running back or a linebacker that went to the Falcons, and I'm again forgetting his name. We brought him back, really good player. And we've got some kind of like a lot of very young defense. So we'll see how that goes. Cam Jordan came back, we'll see. But I just think the combination of we got better this offseason. Our division did not get better. And I think that the world hasn't really seen like what Tyler Shuck can do. And that's what I'm excited to kind of see this season is everyone's kind of sleeping on this guy. Oh, he's 27 years old. It's like, what's his name? I'm trying Brandon Whedon all over again, or whatever. It's like, okay, man, like, I'm just telling you like this, I think this time is different. He's got a maturity to him. I think that we're going to shock some people this year. So that was my long-winded answer.
So a word on Demario Davis. He's one of the best leaders there is in football, and that's desperately what the Jets need. Yeah. So I'm glad they're bringing him on, if even for just a year, just because the Jets really need somebody in that building. They're an incredibly young team. But all right, so we got your team that you think is underrated. So who's the overrated team in the NFC?
Overrated team in the NFC. Do you have it? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. For me, the overrated team in the NFC is the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that, to me, like every other year would make the Super Bowl. One year they're in the playoffs, one year they stink. This is the year where they stunk last year. I think they're going to stink again. I don't see how they got better. Yes, I understand they got Mike Evans, who's gotten older. They got an older offensive line. Deebo Samuel's back. I just don't see them winning much. I was never been a Brock Purdy fan. And hey, they may surprise me and win 10 or 11 games, fine. But I don't think this team is a championship caliber team. I think they're overrated. I think Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach, but I think he needs to get over the hump. And he's been to the Super Bowl a couple of times, hasn't been able to win it. So to me, that's a team, in my opinion, that is definitely overrated.
All right. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. And it's kind of the similar. I feel like the Green Bay Packers are basically like the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFC. They're always like the expectations are there. They always get into the playoffs, but they're always kind of like one and done in the playoffs. Or they're like kind of like a wild card team, or maybe they get to the divisional round. Like they're just supposed to get there, but then they fizzle. I think Jordan Love's overrated. LaFleur, I think, is a good coach, but I just think that team. I don't know. I think that they do a really good job of managing the team, building teams, and all of that. And they kind of the ball bounces their way. They usually don't have a lot of injuries, it doesn't seem like, and then they kind of make it to the playoffs and they're out in the first round. I'm gonna say the Packers.
That's a good pick. The Jets play them in Green Bay first game of the year, so I hope you're right. All right, so right now, young quarterbacks. There's a couple of decent young quarterbacks out there. Which is the young quarterback you expecting to make the biggest jump this season?
It's my quarterback, Tyler Shuck. I like the ceiling for him is basically Drake May last year to me. Like that's how I'm viewing it. That's kind of the ceiling. Like that's like best case scenario. He's having MVP type season. But again, when I look at like Drake May's MVP type season, it wasn't against great teams. We don't have a brutally tough schedule. We don't this year. Our toughest 2 games are the Lions week 1 at Detroit, and then we're at Baltimore week 2 against the Ravens. Those are and we have those right out of the gate. So I'm actually, to be honest, I'm actually kind of good with that, because then we're getting kind of maybe we'll catch them off guard. You know how week 1 goes, like some teams win that shouldn't win or whatever. Yeah. I'd rather face them early when they don't really know, they're not really kind of early season, than face them in November. Those are not teams I want to face later on in the year. So I'm gonna say, yeah, Shuck, and I think Shuck is gonna shock some people. I do.
So for me, my pick is also your guy, Tyler
Oh,
Shuck.
all
I thought
right.
I thought he showed enough in the second half of last season to think that they're going to be a better football team. Again, I said before, I really like Kellen Moore. I love his offense. I know what he's capable of doing. He reminds me of a younger Sean Payton. He's kind of had the same almost career trajectory as a coach. So to me, I like what they're doing over there in New Orleans right now offensively. Remains to be seen defensively if they're going to help themselves along as a team. And as a quarterback position, it's one of the guys I like early on. So let's flip it now. Let's go to the quarterback you think is going to take a step backward. It doesn't have to be a young guy. It could be any quarterback, but a guy you think is going to take a step back.
So this is kind of this could be like a few different quarterbacks. Well, and this is kind of tough because I feel like I could go like Joe Burrow, for example, but I feel like it's always just been like an up and down with him. And it's never been a talent thing. It's just, is he available? That's really what it boils down to. So here's kind of my hot take guy. I'm going to say Josh Allen. Josh Allen's just been a machine, but he's also been kind of a turnover machine. Is this year going to be the year where maybe it's a new coach, new offense? He's not really, doesn't really have it all down yet, and maybe he takes a little bit of a step back. I mean, as far as trading cards go, there's so much money being spent on Josh Allen cards, even now with expectations. And I like Josh Allen, like the kid, like great guy, great local guy and everything. But I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen finally kind of has one of these humbling years.
I keep saying that every year about Josh Allen. Dude just keeps coming out and just killing everybody he plays. So I keep saying all the guys that come back, he always does run. But don't forget, like Joe Brady was his offensive coordinator last year, so the offense should be the same. So I don't think it'd be that much.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be that much of a transition for him at all. What I will say is that Sean McDermott, the old head coach of the Bills, he was kind of a hard ass, where I don't know how Joe Brady's going to be. Usually when you have a hard ass as a head coach, they tend to go the opposite route, and usually that doesn't bode well for teams like that. So again, I hope you're right. I hope he takes a step back. But my guy who I say is going to take a step back is Daniel Jones of the Colts. He had one great year, got hurt, and then forget it. I think that he is going to stink and then going to regret that contract. And I hope that's the case because the Jets hold their number one pick this year. And I would be glad to have a really nice high pick so the Jets can do something with that pick. But I just think I think he had a really good year until he got hurt, but I just don't see it being sustainable. I understand, he didn't really have a great team around him in New York, especially with the offensive line. I don't think the Colts are that much better with their offensive line, definitely a little bit better, but he still got beat up. I don't think he is, a big time quarterback. I think he's the guy who's going to slip. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think so I went aggressive with Josh Allen. I think Trevor Lawrence is another one of these guys that is, but I feel like it's picking kind of he's had consistency issues forever. Like if you look, rookie season was bad, second year was good. He's been inconsistent. Last year he had a good year, so I feel like he's due for a down year in Jacksonville.
All right. So what about MVP? Who is your favorite, you think, right now for the MVP?
I just keep going to Tyler Shuck every time you ask these questions. MVP. This is kind of tricky because I don't know if I know you've noticed because you're watching, but usually when you think MVP, you're thinking quarterbacks, and usually quarterbacks are throwing for a lot of yards, they're throwing for a lot of touchdowns. But if you look at the league the last couple of years, not a lot of passing yards, not a lot of them run and they throw. And it's tough to get 4,000 passing yards, let alone 5,000 or 4, whatever. I mean, a lot of these guys are throwing 3,500 passing yards and they run. I feel like it's just so wide open. Why don't you go first if you actually know your guy? Let me think. Let me just kind of all
right. So my guy is the one we just talked about, and that's Josh Allen. I think he's the best player in the NFL. I hate to say it because he's in my division, but what the guy brings, not only throwing the football, he could throw the ball anywhere he wants. He's not always the most accurate quarterback, but he could throw on the run. But where he kills teams is getting out of the pocket and not even just escaping, just running through people. Nobody can tackle, it seems, when he's running downhill. Once he crosses the line of scrimmage, it's nobody can tackle the dude. So to me, I've just seen it time and time again, this dude come back and beat people. That crazy game they had a couple of years ago in the playoffs between the Bills and the Chiefs, where there was seconds left on the game and the Bills scored. It was 10 seconds left and the Chiefs scored again. It was what the hell? That's the only way you could beat them, I feel. So they did take a step back last year. They have a new coach, but I still think this dude is the best player in the NFL. So I'm going with Josh Allen.
That's good. And I was actually, as you were saying that, I was scrambling to think of like which quarterback is talent wise as good as him. I think Joe Burrow talent wise is as good as him, and then also has two great receivers. I mean, hell, if you put Chase and Higgins on the Bills, they probably don't lose like for the next decade.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so that's another thing. I agree with you. Josh Allen, I don't want to be so agreeable though. I got to think of somebody else. Mahomes is not going to, I can't go Mahomes because frankly, I can't go Mahomes just because I don't like how his career started with him launching the ball downfield and throwing to Tyreek. And then it turned into, I'm going to scramble for 15 yards and then I'm going to like act like I'm going out of bounds, but I'm going to stay in so I can get a 15-yard penalty. That basically just turned into like the Chiefs offense for a while. I'm going to say, Sam Darnold. I'm going to say Sam Darnold with the Seahawks has figured it out. He comes out throwing. They don't have Walker anymore, so maybe they just sling it. He's good. Who knows? Like maybe it's Darnold's year to be the
I
MVP.
think that's a really, really good pick. I really do. I mean, coming from a guy who used to play for the Jets, I've had nothing but positive things to say about Sam Darnold. I always said instead of drafting Zach Wilson, they should have rode with Darnold and take somebody else at that pick. Regardless, I'm happy for the dude that he won this year. And I think that's a really, really good pick for MVP because the guy balled out for the past 2 years in Minnesota. And then, of course, winning the Super Bowl last year with the Seahawks. If you guys like listening to podcasts, do yourself a favor, go check out Ultimate Rewinds over on YouTube. And of course, wherever podcasts can be found. We cover everything from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and today. Ultimate Rewinds podcast is now streaming everywhere. Who do you think is a dark horse MVP candidate? Somebody out of left field, you would think, wow, like I'm shocked that this person won MVP. Now, this is a tough question. So if you want, I could go first again because I have mine kind of already prepared.
Go first because I want to check stats on something.
All right. So he's getting into it. He's looking up stats. He wants to get the right answer here. But my guy is a guy who just flip-flopped teams and who got traded to the Rams. And it's a defensive player, and that's Myles Garrett. You put Myles Garrett on a team like the Rams with a great offense, what does he become? Because every year he starts off fantastic, that kind of tails off because he has no interest in playing towards the end of the year because the Browns stink. I want to see Myles Garrett in a full season, playing as hard as he can on a really good football team. That could be scary. We could talk about breaking the sack record scary, especially we've heard the rumors that Aaron Donald is kind of creeping back. What happens if Aaron Donald comes out of retirement, gets in the middle, and then how do you block those two guys? I don't think you can. So that's my pick.
I always wonder how the Rams do the salary cap. They figure it out somehow, I guess. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, if Darnold will play he doesn't have to play for like the league minimum, but if he doesn't play for $20 million a year, whatever, if he takes kind of a sweetheart deal just to go and kind of play and try to win a Super Bowl, that would be an interesting. I don't like the Rams, so that's hard for me to think like it'd be a cool story. I wish that like my Saints had that problem. What I was looking up, and I'm just not, and where I'm struggling is I was looking at running backs. I was looking at the rushing leaders last year, and you've got Bijan Robinson with the Falcons. I can't pick a Falcon, but also I just don't think if you're MVP, unless you just have ungodly numbers, your team needs to be winning. So I just don't think the Falcons are there. James Cook with the Bills was the leading rusher last year at 1,600 yards, a little bit over 1,600 yards. And then I'm wondering, well, could he be a dark horse candidate? But it's like Josh Allen's going to sling it around though. But I don't know. That's such a tough one. A dark horse candidate for MVP. I'm going to take my own quarterback, Tyler Shuck, for the dark horse for MVP. Oh, man. And it's just going to be like this guy just lit it up, and we didn't nobody saw it coming except for me. And it's basically like Drake May last year, except better. That's what I'm.
All right. This guy is really on the Saints, folks. If you're going to listen to this podcast at some point, you're going to come back to it at the end of the year if Tyler Shuck wins MVP. And I want you to come back and I want you to comment on this thing. But that is a crazy pick. I
never do bets. I don't like sports bet. But I'm like, it probably isn't much to make that bet. I should make that bet.
No,
Tyler Shuck.
You know what?
MVP.
Yeah,
throw $100 on it or whatever.
Absolutely. What rookie you're excited to watch this year? There's a great rookie class that came into the NFL. There's a lot of excitement. A lot of these guys. What is the guy that you're most excited to watch?
Well, I'll quickly move through my team. Jordan Tyson's hurt though. He has a hamstring. He's out for 2 months or something, so he's going to miss the start of the season, it looks like. I'm excited to see him, obviously, because that's my team. But there's a bunch of rookies, to be honest. I mean, the running back that went to the Cardinals, Love. I'm excited to see Love. He's been just like crushing in preseason. Again, it's just sad. He's in such like a beast of a division, but it would be kind of fun. Like if who knows, like the Cardinals or Carson Beck or somebody like takes the Cardinals through that division. That'd be actually kind of interesting. And then I think a big one for me is Fernando Mendoza. I just like the kid. I don't know if he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. Like the comp for me, for him, like the nice guy, guy is like Kirk Cousins. Like he reminds me, he's like Kirk Cousins 2.0 to me, but he also has a fire in him. I mean, watching him in the national championship game, he's competitive as all hell. So he's definitely interesting. A lot of people write him off like, like crappy quarterback class. He actually could be really good. I think that, and he's so focused. He's got a good family backing him. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that he's going to be a good player. I just don't know if he's going to be elite. I think he's going to be very good though in the league.
Yeah, I wasn't too high on him coming out of college. And one thing I'll say about quarterbacks, you talk about Mahomes and like the scrambling. I don't like that in my quarterback. I always said if there's no consensus number one quarterback coming out and he's not the top overall pick, I'm staying away from quarterbacks in the first round. I don't see wasting a number one draft pick on a quarterback. It's not, unless it's a consensus guy, number one guy. With that said, for me, quarterback play, I miss Peyton Manning. I miss Tom Brady, even though I hated those guys. Like that's the type of quarterback play I want to see. Guys who can kind of beat you mentally, hold on to the football, scooch up in the pocket, make throws, get guys in the right spots. I miss that type of quarterback play, and we don't have that much in the NFL anymore. But back to our question at point is the rookie I'm most excited to watch, and that's my Jets number 2 pick, David Bailey, because that's a guy, if he's as advertised, getting off the line of scrimmage and getting to the quarterback, that could change the whole dynamic of your team. So when a guy like that comes out of college, and the last guy that came out like that, in my opinion, was Myles Garrett, even though they were two different type of players. Jadeveon Clowney was a guy that we all thought was going to be that out of college, and he wasn't, turned out not to be. David Bailey is like strictly a speed guy off the edge. Really, he's got a lot of wiggle. He can get low, gets to the quarterback very easily, very quickly, a lot quicker than guys like Garrett. But again, guys like Garrett are incredibly strong, can be physical. He's really not at that point yet. He's more of a wiggle guy in speed off the line of scrimmage. But knowing football, knowing how important that get off is, I'm excited to watch him hopefully do some damage for the New York Jets.
Yeah, the hope is, especially with Aaron Glenn coaching your team, that the defense is like back to being like a really tough Jets. Jets are known, to me, I always think about defense when I think about the Jets. The Jets are always really tough on defense. Like that's offenses are, kind of whatever, but on defense, they're always locked in.
Which team has the biggest Super Bowl window right now? So they have, what I consist of that is like, they have good young talent. They have, good players at certain positions to kind of give him a longer open time frame to get to the Super Bowl. Like teams like the Chiefs, those windows are closing. So what do you think a team that has the widest open window to do so, that has some pieces in place?
Yeah, I'm just trying to like scan through the league. I mean, I think, you have the Seahawks are kind of with Darnold's not, what's Darnold, 30? He's 2018. He's a Baker's age. So he's like 30-ish, 30. I mean, he's like 30. And then they've got their number one wideout. He's a young guy too. Like a lot of, so like I look at the Seahawks, they're really good. Pete Carroll picked all that talent and then they let him go. But like that draft, though, those draft classes have turned out to be really good. They're signing these guys to huge contracts now. They just signed a couple of their defensive guys to big contracts. Seahawks have a nice window, I feel like, but it's the NFL, a lot of parity in the NFL. Like, are the Seahawks going to be a dynasty? It's just tough. It's tough to continue to win. We keep talking about the Bills, but the Bills are kind of like Josh Allen, also like same age as Darnold. It's now or never for the Bills. And, they do have some young guys. I feel like the Bills are kind of, I don't view them as, and I don't know their roster top to bottom. So maybe they're older in certain spots, but I feel I'm looking at quarterback when I think of like the window mostly. And I just feel like the Seahawks and the Bills are teams that are kind of are obvious ones.
For me, mine might shock you, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they just lost A.J. Brown. They just keep turning over players at position. We talk about losing, all-pro in Jason Kelce. They replaced him. They replaced defensive tackles every year with a better guy. It seems like they never lose a step. They just lost A.J. Brown. They drafted another receiver. So, I mean, I feel like they're set up for a really long time. The only linchpin there is obviously Jalen Hurts. He's still a younger guy, still has a long time that he can play football. So I think their window is still wide open, and they just won a freaking Super Bowl a couple of years ago, which is wild to me.
Yeah, the Eagles, the way they plan and everything, it's like their window never closes. Kind of to your point,
Yeah.
it's always open, or at least it feels that way.
So let's go through each division right now in the NFC, and I want you to give me a winner. We're not going to go through the wild cards, but just give me each division winner. Let's start at the NFC East. Who do you think is going to win that division?
Eagles.
I agree with you. I think the Eagles are still the best team in that division. All right, so let's go to the NFC West now. Who wins that division?
Rams. Even though I think it's going to be a battle, like Seahawks and Rams are going to kill each other for it, but I think it's going to be the Rams.
All right. NFC South. Who's going to win that division?
Saints all day.
That was an easy one for you, right? All right. NFC North. This is a tough one because there's 3 really good football teams in NFC North again.
Yeah.
I would say even 4.
Yeah, the NFC North is always a bruiser. It's kind of like the AFC North. The AFC North is kind of similar. I'm going to go, even though I think that, the Bears, they might take a step back. I think the difference maker in Chicago is the coach. I think Ben Johnson is very, very good. And I think that he's the difference maker. If it wasn't Ben Johnson, it was just kind of any coach in Chicago, I'd pick the Packers. But, and that's not an easy pick, but I'm going to go Bears to kind of keep this thing going.
Do you think the Lions take a step back? Because obviously they took a step back last year. You think they even go further back this year?
No. That's where I think the Packers are the ones that actually take the step back. Vikings, Pack are kind of the bottom 2, even though I think they're really tough teams. But I think it's going to be, I think the Lions are going to fight the Bears, but I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling like it's the Bears' time now, but that could be wildly wrong. I think Jared Goff is amazing. Jared Goff's awesome. If everybody stays healthy, they could obviously win that division too. That's a really tough one for me.
So for me, I'm with you with the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think the Rams are heading above over in that division. I do think that Chicago's going to take a step back. I think Detroit is going to come back on top of the division. It's my personal opinion. I like Ben Johnson. I think he's a fiery guy. I love the way he calls offense. I don't like Caleb Williams. That's the cog for me. I can't stand the dude. So not that I'm wishing bad upon him, because I just not a fan of him. The NFC South, excuse me. I'm going to go with the Bucs still. I still think that they might win that division, but we'll see. Yeah. All right. Let's head over to the AFC now. Let's go to the AFC East. I think we're both in agreement that it's going to be the Buffalo Bills.
I was going to say Jets, but Jets shocked the world. Yeah, I really hope it is. I'm not a Patriots have won like 37 titles. I just don't care about the Patriots. Yeah, I think it's going to be I think it's the Bills' time. It's now or never for the Bills. It really is.
I agree with you. What about the AFC North?
AFC North is tricky.
It is.
I just can't bet against Baltimore. I think that's I'm struggling though, like the general manager's an idiot. Like there's a bunch of reasons why the Ravens take a step back. Lamar Jackson though, if he's healthy, and I think their defense is still going to be good. They still have Derrick Henry. I know he's like 45 years. He's like older than us, but whatever. I'm going to say the Ravens, even though I think that division is kind of up for grabs, though.
100%. I mean, it's the Steelers and them, really. I don't think the Browns get there, and I certainly don't think that the Bengals. That's it. Honestly, on paper, I like the Bengals, but I just can't count on Joe Burrow to stay healthy, right? Nobody can. It's just every year the guy gets hurt. I do think they're a fantastic football team. Defensively, they struggle a little bit. Offensive line, they struggle a little bit. But when Joe Burrow is healthy, the guy is the best quarterback in the division. I don't think it's close. All right, AFC West.
AFC West. My God, we've been talking about this. I think we agree on this. It's got to be the Broncos in the AFC West. But that division is so good, though. It's so good. I'm going to go Broncos.
You think that they're going to overtake the Chiefs and win that division? I know Pat was hurt last year, but you think they still, even with a healthy Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, Sean Payton he's a winner, and I think he's finally he took over with Russell Wilson. It wasn't a fit for him. He found his quarterback. It's taken a year or two for the quarterback. Like, quarterback's been good all the way through, but now I think Nix has been in the system long enough. I think it's time. It's time for Nix to kind of make that step forward. And yeah, I think the Broncos are going to be really tough.
I think the Broncos are going to be a good team. I don't know if they're going to out-seat the Chiefs with a healthy Patrick Mahomes. And I think Andy Reid is the best offensive play caller in the history of the NFL. So It's a tough one. I'll give the edge to the Broncos only because they did it last year. But that really is a toss-up for me. And last one, the AFC South. Who do you think takes that division? This is like, to me, the worst division in football.
Yeah, the AFC South. So is it Indy? We've got Indy, Jax.
The Texans. And the Titans.
Texans. I'm like drawing a blank on the division. This one to me is fairly easy, and I think it's going to be the Texans. I think the Texans are going to. I was like trying to think. I was like, there's another team other than the Colts. The Texans. I think it's going to be C.J. Stroud making a comeback. Their defense is brutally tough, and I just think that they're going to. I think it's going to be the Texans, and I don't think it's going to be close. Really, I think to your point, I think Daniel Jones will kind of show himself as the real Daniel Jones, and I don't think I just don't see it. I don't think I think Jax is going to take a step back, and the Titans are not there yet.
I just think honestly, the Houston Texans are the best coach team in that division. D'Amico Ryans is an outstanding football coach, and they got a young quarterback. He struggled last year. He needs to get better in order for that team to kind of win and do what they need to do. But outside of that, coaching helps for sure in the NFL. So I'll say that. So let's do a couple of rapid fire. Does that work for you?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm up for anything.
All right. So right now, are the Jets actually capable of making the playoffs this year?
I think what's great about the NFL is every team is capable of making the playoffs. And I know that, like the talent gap is, to me, the talent gap is really small. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this team sucks or that team sucks. But but the truth is, though, is the talent gap when they actually get on the field, I think is pretty small outside of maybe a handful of really elite teams that are above everybody else. But I think that every team, that's what's great about the NFL. You have a big, draft or, off-season pickups. You never really know, though. That's one thing that's cool about the NFL is it's different than the NBA because you kind of know who the stars are. When Wembanyama gets picked, they know like, okay, this is a guy. It's not like there's a lot of second, third round NBA draft picks that just like, oh, they surprised you. In the NFL, you can have a sixth, seventh rounder, Tom Brady. That's the GOAT. We don't know who the guys are that are going to really be like they're going to step out and be incredible. So, yeah, I think the Jets, I think they've got a shot just like everybody else.
Oh, wow. That's a surprising answer. I'm shocked to hear that from you. How about which New York team finishes with the better record, the Jets or the Giants?
I'm going to say, man, that's kind of tough, honestly. I know there's a lot of expectation on the Giants. God, that's tough because I could see the Jets. Look, I don't think Miami is very good. I think the Pats, I don't think they're unstoppable. I think that they're beatable. It's just then you got the Bills and the Pats. I think the Giants just have it a little bit easier. I'm gonna say the Giants maybe by a game or two.
All right, so I have the Jets and the Giants both going 8-9 this year. All right, so just so everybody knows. All right, so who's your biggest breakout player of 2026?
Tyler Shuck. Hands down.
There you go. I knew that was coming before I've already even asked the question. I knew it was coming. So honestly, my pick was David Bailey. So there we go. Two homers here for the Saints and for the Jets. So there we go. Who is the player everyone is talking about right now that you think will disappoint? This is a great question. I'm looking forward to giving my answer, but I want to hear yours first. Everybody's hyped on that I think you think is going to be not good.
Yeah, I think there's an assumption that Drake May is the new head face of the league, and I'm not convinced of that yet. I think I just need to see more out of Drake May. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Drake May takes a step back, but the Pats defense keeps them in games. The Pats defense, I think, is going to be elite, but I would not be surprised at all if Drake May, AJ Brown, they have a falling out. AJ Brown's a drama guy, so yeah. I could see people being a little surprised to maybe see like that Drake May. He had a good year last year, but he might not be elite. We'll have to see.
The one thing I'll say about A.J. Brown and football in general, I know he's good buddies with Mike Vrabel, but I think young quarterbacks especially tend to get the ball too much to those big guys when they get those big guys on their teams and they try to force the ball sometimes to those guys. I'm interested to see if that's going to happen with Drake May and A.J. Brown. But the guy who people are going to kill me on when I say this, especially in my area, The guy who I think is incredibly overrated is Jackson Dart of the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Watch him play football. I'm not saying the guy can't make incredible throws. He gets out of the pocket. If you watch it, he bails out of the pocket a lot of time way too early. He can't get off his second read, and he'll make some great plays out of the pocket. He'll run, get you some first downs, but he's not going to stand in there and get the ball. At least he hasn't shown that, to get the ball to that third guy, and that's what winning quarterbacks need to do in the NFL to be successful. So he's my pick. Come at me, everybody in the comments. I don't care. I just don't think, from what I've seen so far, that everybody's anointing this guy the next great. I just don't see it. What team do you think will have the biggest turnaround from last year? I already know your answer.
I know. I hate to do it, but here's the thing: is I'm not just I'm not just being a homer to be a homer. I actually do believe it, though. I think it's going to be the Saints, and just because we flopped so hard to start the year out, and we kind of got some momentum towards the end. We were a 6-win team, so I just think that, and we had to scrape and claw to get the 6 wins. So I mean, I just think everyone went bad last year, so it's obvious that we would be one of those teams that could be a comeback team. Turnaround team.
So believe it or not, my answer was also the Saints. I really like how they played down a stretch. I love their coach. I love their offensive game plan. It's just really, for me, hung up on, can Tyler Shuck improve, and can the defense get better? That's about it. But I do think they're going to have a big turnaround from last year. So on the opposite end of that, what team do you think had a really good year last year is going to drop off?
We've talked about them already, but I'm looking at the Patriots and the Packers are two teams that are always they're always in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if it just goes sideways, like in both of those. And those are kind of teams that are always there. Again, the Patriots are not known for that. Whether it's Belichick forever, it was like, keep all of our stuff in house. Make sure we're not making any dumb moves. So if we have drama, we'll keep it in our locker room. I don't know, man. I think that I think there's going to be just problems. And the Packers and the Pats are my two teams for that.
I went with the Patriots as well. I just think, like I said before, the schedule was really easy last year. I do think they got better, especially offensively with AJ Brown. I just think with all the stuff surrounding Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, the tougher schedule, I don't see them getting back. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. If they do, great. If not, I don't see them getting back to Super Bowl. So I think they're taking a step back. All right. So final couple of questions here, and then I'll let you go. And I appreciate you coming on, bud. This is fun. Can't wait for the NFL to start. Super Bowl matchup for this year. Who you got?
I mean, it's obviously the Saints and the Jets. I think we all know. We all know that we're going to go through this roller coaster, but at the end of it, it's going to be Saints Jets. That would actually be really awesome to look back on with this show. But yeah, as far as who do I think is going to make it, I'm just going to be optimistic that this is Josh Allen's year to get over the hump, and it's going to be the Bills. And I'm not a big Bills fan or anything. I would just like to see them. I feel like they didn't get cheated, but the Chiefs kind of got them at the end. We were talking about that playoff game where they scored with 12 seconds and the Chiefs scored something, stupid, like 8, whatever. I just want to see that. I would like to see Josh Allen, and really the Bills fan base, I think, is due for it. Hey, we got a Knicks title. Why not a Bills title to go along with it? In the NFC, I think it's Rams Bills. I just don't see I keep going back to the Rams. I just don't see how McVay, Stafford, Garrett, all the guys you mentioned, if Donald comes back just for the hell of it, just to win a ring. I mean, I just think it's the Rams, season to lose it.
So believe it or not, my Super Bowl matchup is the exact same. It's the Rams and the Bills. I think the Rams are, right now, I think they're the team to beat in the NFC. Offensive weapons all over the place. Defensively, you got one of the best players in the NFL now, and you might be getting the best player in the defensively in the NFL back. I just think it goes through them in the NFC. The AFC is a little bit more wide open between the Broncos, the Bills, if the Chiefs, if they can get there again. But I think I agree with you. I think now is the time for Josh Allen. He's got to get there. They changed the coach. You change the culture a little bit. Give them a little hope. Are they going to do it this year? Because I got to tell you right now, if they get worse than they did last year, it's going to be a big problem. I think it might be time to kind of end that thing over in Buffalo and kind of really swap some players out. But all right, so the final question today, bud, who's winning the Super Bowl?
I just don't see how it's not the Rams. And I just don't see how it's not. And really kind of my tiebreaker on the Rams, we talked about Darnold, maybe being an MVP candidate, but again, it goes back to Walker being so dominant in that Super Bowl. Now I know that like maybe that's just the game plan for that particular game. Maybe it was, hey, we're going to go heavy on the run because that's where they're maybe a little bit more soft, whatever. I know you can game plan it, but I just think that it's the Rams year. Outside of like the great thing about the NFL though is you never know how injuries are going to go. You know, injuries can derail all that. You can halfway through the year, these guys get injured and all of a sudden it's up for grabs, and that's what's great. It sucks, but that's kind of how the NFL works.
Again, I'm with you. I'm taking the Rams. There's just too much there for this team. Unless somebody gets hurt, I just think they're the team to be. And I just think the Buffalo Bills are cursed.
And also, if you think about that matchup, the coaching matchup in the Super Bowl, it's Brady versus not Tom Brady, Joe Brady versus McVay. And I'm taking McVay. I just think McVay's been there. He's lost a Super Bowl and he's won one. He's just too good. I think he's just like, I think that would maybe even be the difference is like the coaching.
I agree. So last thing I'm going to say, it's not a question. If the Jets and Saints meet in this year, we have to fly out and go to the Super Bowl now, because then we have spoken it into existence. Okay.